there's something happening at church called Think 3. Do you know anything about that?
No.
Nope.
I've heard it. I think it's a ministry thing. It's about 3 different generations, but that's all I know.
Do you think your great-grandchildren might come here to this church?
Maybe.
That's cool, but I want to be single when I grow up.
You want to be single?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could take my nieces and nephews.
Awesome.
I like the church because I have more friends and they tell me more about God.
It was a church home to me growing up, but we hadn't been here for a while, and coming back I was amazed at how much it still felt like a family and a home. And my kids didn't grow up here, but they felt that immediately and just kept asking every other week after that, can we go to Granada? Can we go to Granada? And so we really prayed about that, and the Lord led us back, and it's been a wonderful experience for them as well, and for my husband, just feeling like home and deep biblical teaching and rich community and service all together too.
You ever heard the name Phil Martin?
Yes.
Do you know? Tell me who that person is.
My great-grandpa.
I never got to meet him, but I know that he liked to invent, and he's kind of wealthy, and he used most of his money to help the church.
My grandpa was an oil well tool inventor, but he also had a heart for the Lord.
There's a lot to say about Dad. Phil Martin was a farm boy who came down to California during the Depression with holes in his shoes and putting cardboard in his shoes, dirt poor.
I was supposed to get royalties, but I wasn't getting anything. I'd worked 9 years with nothing. Then finally, they said they sold some equipment to the federal government, so they gave me a check.
Tithing means to me sacrificing some of your money to give to the church or to God.
And I heard the preacher telling the first fruits of old Israel when they gave a tithe were what you brought in. Not the old nubbins at the end of the year, but these first fruits.
Dad had promised the Lord that should he ever have a blessing of a royalty from an invention, his first royalty, his first fruit, would be given to the Lord. As a farm boy, he understood what first fruit meant. The first fruit is often the sweetest and the best quality that the plant produces. And so that was something that resonated with Dad about giving your best and your first to the Lord. So he'd made that promise well before they were married.
Well, I had a baby coming along. We were short, and I hadn't told my wife about this.
And he prayed about it, and then he gave it all to the church.
The entire first check.
It looked big to us because our income wasn't that high. And it was a temptation to keep it or split it.
But I told her, she said, if you made a vow, do it. So I went to church the next Sunday and gave a check to the church. The church was a struggling church. Stella Carpenter, the secretary, says, we can sure use that. I said, no, it's dedicated for missions. And so the missions will go, she said. So I gave that check, the entire first check, not knowing any more would come.
So then Monday morning, the accountant from the company came to Dad, said, oh my gosh, Phil, I made a mistake. I only gave you half of what I should have given you. And Dad just shook his head and just said, he was amazed at God's provision.
And we spent that check on our family. So the Lord blessed me in that case.
And it was his greatest delight and joy to be able to use God's provision for his ministry. It was absolutely his joy. Yeah, his greatest delight.
So what did you learn about giving from your grandparents then?
That you can give from your time, your talent, or your treasure, and to follow the Holy Spirit's leading with that. in obedience, whether you can see how God's going to provide or not, just following in faith if the Lord's clearly leading in that direction, and that he often blesses us in bigger ways than we could ever imagine for doing so.